Welcome to KissFAQ Song Stories. In this series, we'll focus on the histories of some of Kiss's best and least known songs. In this episode, Parasite, originally released on Kiss's Hotter Than Hell album in 1974. Even as the band had spent most of their time on the road during the first half of 1974, Ace Frehley managed to increase his contributions to the band's music. He'd bring in two heavy rockers and co-wrote a third song for their second album. During a brief break from the road, the band recorded a demo of Parasite and three other new songs at Minot Sound Studios in White Plains, New York on July the 23rd, 1974. That demo, unfortunately, does not currently circulate. Studio documentation suggests that the session cost a meager $305.74. It's not clear whether the song had its blue shares Vincebus Eruptum heaviness at that time, or whether that was eventually magnified by the sludgy production during the technically challenged later album sessions. There have been unsubstantiated suggestions that part of this song was based on earlier Melimo material that Ace had been a part of. However, it seems unlikely since Ace had joined that project at a late stage and apparently had little to do with the songwriting, though theoretically some of his lead work could have been recycled. Once again, Ace declined to sing his songs. He recalled in No Regrets, "I had no confidence in my own vocal ability, especially around Gene and Paul and Peter, who thrived in the spotlight and had a way of pushing through a song, any song, regardless of any vocal limitations. I had no idea whether I could sing at all, so for the longest time I didn't even try. Parasite I offered to Gene because it seemed to suit him, and he really liked it." Gene told Ken Sharp for Goldmine magazine in 2001, "Parasite we loved right away. I said, you sing it, and he said, no, I can't sing it, it's too high. Gene, you sing it." Paul concurred with Gene's appreciation of the song in the box set liner notes, commenting, "Parasite is classic Ace. I only wish there were more songs of this quality. When Ace hit the mark, it was usually a bullseye. Ace's contribution had a sense and an attitude that complemented the band. His songs were unlike mine or Gene's, but fit really well." Gene also recalled in Kisstory, "Ace pretty much thought out those songs from beginning to end, the riffs, lyrics, the point of view, etc. There was very little rearrangement done, whereas Cole Gin did feature contributions from some of the other guys in the band. But when he brought in Parasite, which was originally called Parasite Lady, we were floored." There has also long been an unsubstantiated rumor that Ace played bass on the recording. Studio documentation suggests that final mixing work on the song was completed on September the 2nd, 1974. Less than 2 weeks later, the song had been rehearsed in time to debut in the set when the band hit the road again on September the 13th. The first known archival recording comes from the second night of the tour, in Toronto, Canada on September the 14th. Presumably, it had also been performed the night before, making it the first new song debuted from the album. While in Toronto, the band filmed an interview for the local City TV program on television, the Camp Boogie Dance Show. It's unknown whether they performed as part of the appearance, and if they did, it was probably lip-synced, but they most certainly sat down for an interview. Regardless, any surviving tapes of the band's appearance have yet to surface, despite the best efforts of many researchers. As Bob Ezrin recounted in James Campion's stellar Shout It Out Loud book, he'd been told about Kiss by a teenage fan just weeks before they ran into each other in the stairwell of that studio. The fan had basically told him that Kiss were the hottest thing out there, but their records sucked. They still bought the records, but it was only on the stage that Kiss's talents were fully illustrated. Bob also recounted a dialogue where he basically asked the band members if they were happy with their records, and if they weren't, then to get in touch with him. The orbits of the band and Bob Ezrin had intersected, planting a larger seed for the future. As described in Circus magazine in June 1976, the live album was proof of this. The first three Kiss albums were sloppy attempts to recreate the group's live bombast. Parasite was one of the standouts noted by many reviewers of both the album and the tour. One suggested that it sounded like Ace was playing with an electric bazooka rather than a guitar due to the heaviness of his contributions. Surprisingly, the song became a central part of the band's set, and the live version was probably constructed from parts of the Davenport show. But its set longevity was limited. By the time the Alive tour was completed in the US in March 1976, the song had already been displaced by Flaming Youth. While the song was lost in the mist of time for both Kiss and Frehley's Comet during the 1980s, this didn't stop the song's inspirational stature being celebrated by other bands. Anthrax notably covered Parasite in 1988 for their Antisocial single B-side. The recording was later included on the Attack of the Killer Bees album in 1991. They also released a live version recorded in 1991 on Live, The Island Years in 1994, called from the Live Noise video on which it features. Initially, the song was ignored by Frehley's Comet. They had more than enough of their own material to promote and a hierarchy of legacy compositions to rely on. But by 1992, Ace took ownership of the song's vocal. In early performances, he'd prefaced the song by performing a kicking version of Last Train to Clarksville, a song that he should still consider covering properly, before stopping and shouting "not," and then launching into a fiery rendition of Parasite. The song had returned to the set in time to be included on Ace Vision Volume 1, a video issued by his Rock Soldiers fan club in 1994. That performance material was from the Just for Fun tour filmed in Orlando, Florida on March 13, 1993. The song was also sometimes used as the band's show opener during the period. Parasite also returned to Kiss's set for the Revenge Club tour of 1992 and remained entrenched for the remainder of the band's Unmasked era. Left off Alive 3, the song would be performed electrically by the Revenge lineup for the last time in Australia during February 1995, though it would be teased acoustically during the convention tour. Again falling victim to the rest of the catalogue, the song wouldn't be part of the Alive Worldwide set, however it had been considered and rehearsed. It was one of the songs Peter found a challenge to recapture the lunacy of his younger self drumming style. Ace was enthusiastic about the prospect of it being performed, hoping to share the vocal with Gene. Ace kept trying for the Psycho Circus tour, telling Ken Sharp in Behind the Mask, "I broke into it at soundcheck. I don't play it like Bruce Kulick played it, which was very precise. I play it sloppy. That's the way I wrote it." Paul, however, was used to how Bruce had been playing it and thought Ace was playing it wrong. Ace suggested that he listen back to the records. Eventually, it received token recognition, becoming part of his and later the band's medleys during the Farewell Tour in 2000 and 2001. Following Frehley's departure from the band, the song also became an occasionally performed song during the 2004 Rock the Nation tour. It was included on the resulting Kiss Rock the Nation Live DVD the following year. It would be more regularly performed during the Alive 35 tour celebrating the Alive album in 2008 and 2009. Parasite was included in the End of the Road set, returning for the first time since the 2015 cruise, when the third North American leg commenced in February 2020. With the interruption to touring due to the COVID pandemic following the Dubai fiasco, it would also feature during 5 of the 6 2022 Kiss Cruise performances by the band. Ace included a studio version on his Origins Volume 1 album in 2016, with John 5 guesting on guitar. It was also one of the songs he and Gene Simmons played during their reunion in St. Paul in September 2017.